You don't necessarily need another sermon, another teaching, another prophetic word, and all that is good. But most importantly, you need to retain what you've already heard.
Welcome to Word of Wisdom, a podcast that seeks to rebuild and restore the true image of God in you by drawing wisdom from the scriptures and giving practical insights for their application. I'm your host, Bryant Lubanga, ready to journey with you.
Today we're going to talk about the word retention system. Last week we looked at the 4 different systems in brief. That's the retention system, the root system, the relational system, and the revelation system. So today we go a little deeper on the retention system. Matthew chapter 13 verse 4, Jesus is talking about the sower. As he sowed, some seed fell by the roadside, and the birds came and devoured them. Then in verse 19, he goes on to explain the meaning of the parable. When one hears the word of the kingdom and doesn't understand it, the evil one comes and snatches away that which has been sown in his heart. This is what was sown by the roadside. So let's look at James chapter 1 verse 22 to 24 as it gives an interesting analogy of retaining the word. It says, "But be doers of the word, and not hearers only, deluding your own selves. For if anyone is a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like a man looking at his natural face in a mirror, for he sees himself and goes away and immediately forgets what kind of man he was." What the enemy is after in your life is God's word meant for you. The attack is not so much about hearing the word, but retaining it. As a matter of fact, he will want you to hear so many things, so many good words, so many good things, all with the aim of keeping you busy and undecided. It's pointless hearing a good word that you cannot build with. The word is the plan and pattern that you refer to when you're building. Even the most experienced of builders use a building plan. Plans and patterns are recorded and retained for continual reference. So you have to keep referring to the plan because there are many other plans out there. They may look good, they may sound good, but they're not meant for you. The main idea of retention is to build on the word as a starting point. It's to build on the word as a reference point. So the word becomes the compass by which you're directing your thoughts and your movements. I remember growing up in Sunday school, and we used to pride ourselves on how well we could memorize Bible verses. It was a good practice to engage us with the word. But as soon as we left that environment, majority of the times, we forgot about what the verses required of us, leave alone being able to recite them. So it was just a good practice to memorize, and that was it. But with retention, it goes beyond reciting or writing on paper. Retention is about the word being written in your heart. It's about knowing what is required of you. It's about aligning your life and your actions based on the word. Deuteronomy 11 verse 18 says, "Therefore, you shall lay up these words in your heart and in your soul. You shall bind them up for a sign on your hand, and they shall be frontlets between your eyes." Also Psalms 119 verse 11 says, "I have hidden your word in my heart that I might not sin against you." Now, these two verses highlight 4 key things that we need to observe. Number one, it says the heart, the soul, the hand, and the frontlets between the eyes. The word in your heart speaks of it being your treasure. A treasure is something that you value above everything else. When you find it, you do everything to protect it. In the same Matthew 13, verse 44, Jesus talks about a man who found treasure hidden in a field, and he hid it. Then he went and sold everything he had and bought the field. Hiding the word means you're not allowing anything contrary to that word to enter your heart. You are safeguarding the word at all costs. You shut your ears from everything that is contrary to what God is saying to you. That is safeguarding the word. Shutting your ears from everything. Then the word in your soul speaks of your motives and that which moves you into action. So your motives are a reflection of what you treasure. When our motive is doing the word, then we get inspired against all odds to do that word. Motive is that hidden, secret fuel that moves you into action. Then it talks about binding the word on your hands, and this speaks of taking action or functioning in accordance to the word. When you have something bound in your hands, it means you're sticking to it. Nothing is stopping you from doing it. You are constant with it. Then it talks about having the word as frontlets between your eyes. And this is a picture of our perceptions and thinking being influenced by the word. You begin to see things in light of the word spoken to us. The word becomes the lens through which you approach and respond to things. It makes you ask, how can I apply the word in this? And if it is something that will move you away from doing the word, then you must avoid it by all means. So, you don't necessarily need another sermon, another teaching, another prophetic word, and all that is good. But most importantly, you need to retain what you've already heard. Perhaps you may need to go back to what God spoke to you and begin to take action on them. Because retention goes beyond recitation. Retention is about hiding and treasuring the word in your heart that you may do it. Let's go back to what God said. Find what God said about you and begin